Hello everyone, I want to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'll be taking you through the process of making this blouse for yourself. We're going to be drafting the pattern for the blouse in this part 1 video. Then in the part 2, I'll be showing you how I went about the sewing of this dress. Then in the part 3, I will show you guys the sleeve tutorial. Okay, so without talking too much, let's just go straight into making this particular blouse. Okay, so the measurement you need is just your normal body measurement. The only difference is that you need to take the shoulder measurement to your waist in front and your shoulder measurement to your waist at the back. Okay, that's just the only difference. Now from your starting point, you go down to your armhole point, your bust point, your under bust point, your waist point, and then the length of the blouse that you want. Okay, so now we'll draw the straight line. Okay, so after doing that now, you take your shoulder circumference and you divide that measurement by 2. So what I want to do here is just to create like an armhole. Even though we'll not later use it, we're just going to create it. So you take that circumference, your shoulder circumference, you divide it by 2, you mark it on your starting point and then your armhole point, and then you connect the line. So now we're going to start taking our body circumference, but before I do that, let me label all the lines so that we're not going to be confused. Okay, so now on your bust point, you take your bust circumference divided by 4. Then on the waist point, you take your waist circumference divided by 4. Then where you want your blouse to reach, you take the measurement around that point and then you would mark it. Make sure that you're dividing all your measurements by 4, obviously. So you connect that point to the armhole point, connect your bust to your waist, connect your waist to the length of the blouse. Okay. Alright, so the next thing we're going to start working with is the corset. Now you're going to take your nipple to nipple measurement. You're going to divide that measurement by 2. Then you mark it on your bust point, waist point, under bust point, and of course the length of the blouse. Then you connect that line together. Now after doing this, we want to take our normal waist dart, which is on your waistline. You go in and out by ½ inch. Okay, you're taking it on your waist dart, not on your under bust. Okay, ½ inch on both sides, and then you connect that to some inches to your bust point. So you won't take it all the way to your bust point. You will leave like 1 inch away from your bust point before you connect your waist dart. So this is like our normal waist dart. Now instead of us to connect this like slanted to the length, we are going to connect it all the way down to the length. Okay, alright, so now once this is done, what you want to do next is to determine where you want your center to start from. Okay, now this determines how much cleavage you're going to show. Okay, you can take it from your armhole line, you can go down from the armhole line, you can take it on your bust point. It just depends on you, really. Okay, depends on what you want to do. So I'm going to take mine here and I'm just drawing a straight line for that. So I would go in by 0.25. Please don't do ½ inch, it's going to be too much. Just do 0.25. Okay, so you mark that point. Then from that point, you're going to use a curved ruler. Okay, you take your master curve, you use a curved ruler to connect it to your under bust point. Okay, so you're connecting it to the under bust point. All right. Okay, so once that is done, on your under bust point, you're going to go out by 1 inch. This is just to make sure that our under bust point is actually very fitted. Okay, so you go out by 1 inch and then you will use a curved rule to connect it to the bust point. So when I say that to the bust point, you're not taking it all the way to your bust point. Okay, then you connect that leg to the initial leg. Okay, so now from our initial dart, like our dart at the center, you're going to go out by your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 4. But if you're someone on the small size like me, you might not have anything left by the time you take that 4 inch or whatever your own inch is. So what I'm going to do is I would just go in by 3 inch so that I can have space left before my actual bodice, if you understand what I'm saying. So okay, so now what I want to do is that I want to work on the upper part of my cup. So depending on the cleavage that you want to show, I don't know how much cleavage you want to show. For me, I don't want to show so much cleavage, so I'll just come down by, I was thinking 5 inch before, but I think that's going to be too high, so I'll do 6 inch. Alright, so now I'm going to connect the line. I'll connect it all the way up like that. Then from the line that I want to use, I'll go out by ½ inch on both sides. Now you can do 1 inch if you don't want your cleavage to show much, but 1 inch might just be too tight, so I just did ½ inch. Okay. Alright, so now I would complete my cup. So I'm going to complete my cup. I'll determine how much of a sweetheart I want at the center. So if you want so much sweetheart, just mark it like that. But if you don't want, just let it be, let it be covered. Then I also connect this to the other side. Now, because this dress is not having an actual sleeve, like the sleeve is not an actual sleeve, I'll come down from my armhole point. I'll draw a line. Then I'll connect this is my side. I'll connect it to that new line that I have before I now complete my cup. Okay, so now that I've already completed my cup, I think we're done with the cup. So this is a 2-part cup, which is what I'm going to be using. But if you want a 3-part cup, it's very simple. Just come down from the center by like 2 inch or 1.5, depending on you. Then you just connect it. So that would give you a 3-part cup. Okay, but me, I'm just doing the 2-part cup. So you can label A, B, C1 and C2 if you want a 3-part cup. So you have it there. Now when it comes to cup, you have to really label it properly so that you will not be confused as to what to do. Okay, this is like your drawing board when it comes to sewing. So let's label our cups properly. Alright, so now that this is done, I'm going to, okay, so what I want to go ahead to do now is to create my bust dart. Remember initially I said the only measurement you need is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. So mine is 1.5. That is going to be my bust dart. So I'll take my bust dart 1.5 inch, and that is the only difference you need from your normal body measurement. So I want to measure what I have at the side, and that is 14.5. By the time we take away our bust dart, that measurement is going to reduce, and we need the measurements at the side in front and the side at the back. We need that measurement. Okay, so guys, it was when I started doing my voiceover that I realized that I did not add the part where I was adding the stitching allowance. So make sure you replace your dart allowance at the side and also add stitching allowance. So I used 1 inch stitching allowance for this. Now for the back, I just drew a straight line and connected the lines for the back. And the first thing I'll do is to mark out my zipper allowance at the back. Now I'll take my circumference, take my bust circumference divided by 4, take my waist circumference divided by 4. The measurement around my blouse, I'll also take it, and then I'll connect the points together. So the back is quite simple. It's actually very simple, just doing like in basic bodies. Okay, so now that I've created my zipper, if you want to use an eyelet, you're not going to add a zipper allowance. You actually remove like 1 inch away from your back if you're using an eyelet. Now that I've created my dart line, I will connect it. Then I will go in by 1 inch on both sides. So for the back, I'm using 1 inch on both sides for the back instead of ½ inch. One thing about your dart is that so far you replace back darts that you took, you're good. Now I'm going to connect it all the way to the beginning of my back. So I'm not doing to bust points, I'm connecting it all the way to the beginning of my dart. Okay, so I'm just connecting my dart legs to be straight. Alright, so that's basically all for the back. Now you're going to replace your dart allowance. So whatever you have on your dart, you replace it on the waist and also on the length before you now add your stitching allowance. So for the back here, we created a new like line for the armhole at the front. So we have to connect that line to the back. So I'm connecting it all the way to that particular new point that I did. So I'm replacing my dart, the same thing that I did in the front, but I think I over edited that part. So replace your dart before you take your stitching allowance. Okay. Alright, so that's basically all for the pattern drafting, guys. That's all for the pattern drafting. So I'm going to cut out the side, and I would also close my bust dart. So to close your bust dart, just cut out the center. Okay, so I'm just using the effect that I saw on the recreation for the down part. So you cut out the center. I just want to show you guys. Okay, I think you guys should know it, but let me just show you guys. So you cut out the center, then you also cut out the sides. You would close your bust dart by cutting the dart line itself, not your bust line, and then you just close it like that, and then you put a tape. So you reconnect any line that is, is acting funny, and that's basically all. So you remove your dart, cut out your pattern, and guys, that's basically all for this pattern drafting video. Okay guys, so the sewing tutorial is coming up next, and I can't wait for you guys to see it because the dress came out really nice. So get your ankaras ready, get your materials ready, get everything ready to make this beautiful tutorial. So if you found this particular video helpful, do well to smash my subscribe button and also turn on post notification. Okay, so I'll see you guys in part 2.